Yeah,
And that,
this is the redesigned Secret Sky auditorium. Right now, what you'll see as we kind of crest this hill and go through those doors is like a stream from last year. So this is like a recording of my performance last year. But obviously, this year's rendition of Secret Sky that it'll be like all the new sets will be shown there. For this year's design of the Secret Sky auditorium, like we ended up going for this more kind of skeuomorphic IRL looking sort of thing because I think that the appetite for going to a physical festival and being in a real space is so high that last year was sort of like, the screen would be in this black void and everything was so driven by the visuals. But I think this year we're just like, I feel like people want to go back and experience live music so badly that it was kind of like, let's make it into this beautiful, blue sky, green pastures, sort of MMO like space to watch all the sets.
oh, it's beautiful, right? It gives me like a little bit of Journey vibes of the characters, I think. Was that all an inspiration?
Oh, for sure. I mean, Journey has been something that's been on my mind for so many years, and like, there's this other experience that we put together around Nurture where there are these like 4 different environments that you can go into and listen to the music from the album, and you're randomly connected to a single other individual and you can't communicate. And like that concept has always just been so beautiful to me as someone who grew up with MMOs, and just knowing how cherished that kind of connection and communication can be, these like ephemeral online relationships. It's something that like I have so much affection for. And so, yeah, I'm definitely like, I love that concept. I go back
No,
to
and
it
even
often.
just compelling for me, even just, I love that there are other people on the other end of this, but you don't know exactly who they are, and you're communicating basically through, I'm jumping, I guess, communicate. But I see there's some hands people have. So those are, how do you get hands?
Yeah, so let me find someone with hands here, because these are just people who are testing the experience right now. Yeah, so here's someone with hands. So this experience is supported in a sort of beta way for VR. We're working with like the actual developers at Oculus to kind of put together this web VR experience. Something that's kind of interesting to me is like, well, I love VR live music. I know we spoke a little bit about this earlier, but like some of my favorite musical experiences of the last year have been like VR nightclubs instead of VR chat. And there's just something about it, that feeling of being around other people and like the eye contact. There are all these very magical things that you gain from that presence of kind of being in VR. So like, this, I think that 99% of people will end up using this experience on mobile or on desktop, but I thought it would be something really cool to support VR. I can show you some of the like.
Yeah, tour me, because you gave me, I was playing around last weekend and like you can climb the tree. And when I was in it on the weekend, it was more of a night setting. So I guess it has a day-night cycle too?
Oh, that's right. So the way to do that is you go up to my boy DJ Pitaro over here, and when you talk to him, you can toggle night mode, which it basically makes the environment a lot more visually reactive. Something that you find a lot in putting together live music is that like contrast is kind of everything. And so like lights and video, they don't really slap the same way in a daytime setting, even in real life. But I just think like that environmental feeling of like emerging from this cave and kind of cresting the hill and being in this blue sky, green meadow environment will be really good vibes for people.
This is but especially when you're in this, it's like you have, hue lights on behind your TV, or even like in some of whenever I go into like any of the VR cinema experiences, like it's just amazing, just the light from the screen, how it kind of refracts and reflects around the screen. Like it just makes such a difference, right? That you just feel such a sense of presence, and you've done a great job here of like just mirroring the video, right?
It's really cool how that lighting kind of feels. They're doing some interesting techniques here. Basically, the way that this works is the various objects around that are projecting light. I think that there's like certain pixels that it samples from the video to determine colors for some of the environmental elements. So it's like, maybe they're taking the upper leftmost pixel or something like that, and from that they're sampling what color the rocks and clouds should light up and things of that nature. But this year there's a few more kind of things to do, so I'll take you around real quick. I'll take you to
show me.
That's
part of the thing, is because I think the next level of all this stuff, and you're getting there, is like, how do you make it more interactive, right? And there are things to do because I think a lot of these, concert events, you go and you stand around. It's like, oh, it's cool for a little while, but eventually, you sort of, like a game, you want to go somewhere and do things. So yeah,
Right.
it is, you can these other worlds, and so you can do this as the performances are going on, right? And have,
That's
oh
right.
wow, this is cool.
Yeah, so something that I often found that I would do like in old MMOs, like for example, if I was in a game I think about a lot is a game called City of Heroes that I was incredibly obsessed with. It was one of my first like beloved MMOs and one of the
Old
first
school MMO, yeah.
Yeah, and it was one of the first MMOs that fell by the wayside and kind of died and couldn't be brought back for years. And I would just spend hours. They had this like they had this winter event where there was this nightclub, this interdimensional nightclub where the heroes and villains could meet up and like role play and stuff like that. And there was this like ski slalom snow area, and basically I would just like spend hours like just kind of reading people's RP and then just doing this lap where you go to the top of the mountain and you slide down this snowy hill and you just go back to the top. And like it for me sometimes it's not even about like progression or having a real purpose behind the things you're doing. It's almost like a fidget spinner, and that's kind of how I feel in these experiences. Like if there's a few different destinations that people can go and check out while they're listening to the music and just like fidget and run around.
I totally agree, and that's the thing is with a lot of these games, like or a good example where it's like very competitive, but to me when they like turned guns off for Marshmallow, like it was just so key because you just want to, you said, be in an environment, and it's like what I call like light touch interactivity, even being able to just kind of like look around an environment and like have light interactions. We don't need to play mini games, we just need to feel like control. And even the Travis Scott thing was the same thing. It's like you weren't really, it was all pre-scripted, but you were able to move around the environment and feel a part of something, which is really compelling.
Yeah, that Travis Scott experience was so inspiring and next level. Like just like some tiny little journey, no matter how insignificant, just like some kind of place to run and go. It's not like this is like, the initial scope of this definitely would have been like, oh, let's do crazy jumping puzzles and stuff like that.
No, but just as I said, just the light touch of like, you're obviously hearing the music throughout this environment, right? And to me, it's like, when you're just like at a festival, you want to kind of like, walk around and see things like this. The fact that there are things to do and you're not kind of contained into, a seat or, an auditorium, right? It's like you can sort of explore. And obviously this is all happening. And I think if you peer out, so I peer out over the edge here and there I see you performing, right? Which is kinda cool.
I feel like that's so cool. Like I feel like people will want to find their own favorite place to watch from. And to me, this was, I really wanted to go for like coziness was the thing that I had in my head actually, because like that vibe of being at a music festival and you're walking over to the merch tent or you're getting some food or whatever, and the music is still kind of pumping in the background, and you have this feeling like, oh, I'm kind of missing it, but I'm kind of hearing it, like that hearing the music ambiently. So I really wanted to capture that feeling of like sort of like going off and checking out an installation or another vantage point, and like you have to not see the video for a little bit to make that trip. But there's something kind of beautiful to me in that little inconvenience or in that little bit of loss where like you can't really see what's going on for a minute, but like
it's real cozy. You and I just hanging out on the ledge here watching you perform.
Me and Geoff. This is probably my favorite.
This is our moment.
This is my favorite place to watch from. I hope that people will be hanging out here. Just like I feel like this is such a vibe. This is such a place to watch from,
and I imagine, and this is if we're in night mode, then I guess we would literally be like, why? Oh, that's insane. Wow.
Yeah, let's go turn on night mode actually with Pataro real quick.
Oh, he's over here. Oh, we can turn on over. Look at that.
We got two Pataros special for you. We got an extra convenience Pataro, and then this thing then becomes video reactive, which is kind of cool.
Oh wow.
Real quick, I'll talk about the scribbles as well. So one of the main like motifs of this new album is kind of this idea of like raw, unprocessed,